Good morning, church. It's good to be with you again today. As we continue our walk through Jeremiah chapters 3 and 4 today, we continue to see how angry God is with the spiritual prostitution that Judah and Israel have gone on. It says, "You have prostituted yourself with many partners. Can you return to me?" This is the Lord's declaration. We get a lot of husband and wife imagery between God and Israel and God and us. He is the bridegroom. We are the bride. He's returning to consummate his people someday. He viewed Israel as both his child and his bride, and he was very upset. It was as if a child wanted a different father. It was as if a bride wanted a different husband when they went astray. And he even goes so far as to talk about how he gave a certificate of divorce to Israel and sent her away. Such strong, striking words. And we are reminded that God feels the same way today about us, that he is a jealous God. Jealousy is one of the first attributes that is revealed about God in his word, Elkanah. He is the jealous God. He's jealous for you, and we should delight in that. You know, in humanity, jealousy is often seen as a negative trait, but when it comes from our Lord, we really do belong to him. He is our creation, and we should be really happy that he doesn't want to share us with anybody or with anything. And so we just rest in that, trust in that, and we should not be turning to idols. We hear that over and over again. I just want to make an aside about the covenant, the Ark of the Covenant. It will never come to mind, and no one will remember or miss it. Another one will not be made. People today still talk about finding the Ark, whether it's Indiana Jones, Dan Brown and his Angels and Demons, or the Da Vinci Code. Finding the Ark is still a very modern kind of idea. But we hear very clearly in Jeremiah, it was destroyed. It does not exist anymore. And that's okay, because the curtain to the temple has been ripped. We don't need the Ark of the Covenant anymore because we have the new covenant. We have Jesus. And so we delight in that. And then we have in John chapter 11, the resurrection of Lazarus. Perhaps it is the greatest sign that we get outside of Jesus' own resurrection. And this is the seventh sign that John records. And he records signs rather than miracles, because he is reminding us that all these things are pointing to who Jesus is. What I want to focus on, two things quickly, is that Jesus is deeply moved. In verse 33 and 38, it says, "When Jesus saw her crying, and the Jews who had come with her crying, he was deeply moved in his spirit and troubled." The Greek word used there is used to describe agitation or even rage or anger. What was Jesus deeply moved, or what was he angry about? I believe he was angry at seeing the grief on the people's face. He was encountering sin. He was seeing the brokenness of the world, and he was just sad and upset. And it's a delight to us that he was, because we're told he feels the feelings we feel. He sympathizes with us. He weeps with us. He's angry at the things that we get angry about. And we can relate to our Lord because he related to us. And that's something we should not take lightly. The other thing we should not take lightly is that many of the Jews came to Mary, saw what he did, and believed in him. But some of them went to the Pharisees and told them what Jesus had done. There's a coalition of people who saw with their eyes Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead and decided that Jesus needed to die because of what he did. This reminds us that no matter what we do or what we say, there are some people whose hearts are so hard that they just look at what Jesus does and think that it's foolishness or even deserving of death. So we just go out in prayer. We know that we can never be good enough. Our lives can never be perfect enough for some people to come to a saving knowledge of Christ. And so we just live our lives as a representation of our Lord. And we give his word and we leave the results to God. And we grieve like our Lord does, but we leave the results and we trust in him for everything else. I love you, church. We'll talk to you soon again.